We're going to the US ambassador, who should never have been put in the role, and the media, whose shameless barracking and sycophantic posturing betrays their very own audiences. Now, Kevin Rudd, he is the foul-mouthed thug rejected by Australian voters who bullies and threatens journalists, uses incredibly inflammatory language against his political adversaries. But for some reason, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese thought he had the character to be a diplomat. And that decision says a lot about Albanese, because this is some of the stuff that Rudd had said publicly about one very important political figure in the US before he was given the job.
The United States in the last 4 years has been run by village idiots. People have seen China continuing to be competent in its national statecraft, and the United States increasingly incompetent in its national statecraft under Trump.
But the underpinnings of it were still incoherent because Trump himself was incoherent. And he waxed and waned from being in love with dictators to not knowing what he wanted from dictators.
Trump, at present, represents a political liability for both sides of Australian politics. This guy is a problem.
I think the general consensus amongst anyone concerned with the public policy process, domestic or international, thinks he's nuts.
Now, here at Sky News, we broke many of these stories, uncovering old footage of Rudd disgracing himself. It was my team at skynews.com.au which revealed Rudd was scrubbing his social media pages after Trump won, and we think it is important that readers know the truth of the situation, rather than lie to you and pretend, well, Rudd is a good fit because it helps the government. But if you've watched this show before, you'd know very well that not all journalists are honest. Some think it is okay to lie if it serves the greater good. They follow the marching orders of people like Tim Ayres, the aggressive trade unionist turned assistant minister, who says we in the media should shut up and stop criticising government decisions.
There's a lot of noise coming from some Australian media organisations on this question. With the greatest respect, Holly, to your organisation and others, the Australian government, not foreign-owned cable TV networks, the Australian government, on behalf of Australians, determines who is Australia's ambassador to the United States.
Well, with the greatest respect, Tim, if I want to point out that your government made our ambassador a person who called the president a traitor, then I will. But the Sydney Morning Herald thinks that telling the truth is a disgrace. Its editor, Bevan Shields, who endorsed Kamala Harris, said we were a disgrace for mentioning things Rudd said. News Corp has been running hard on this for months, ramping up a sense of crisis to the point where it created one. Media campaigns can be a force for good. This one by News Corp is a disgrace. Shields then hilariously attempted to defend Rudd, saying he's an expert on China. And that's really funny to me because when I think of Rudd and China, I think of this.
And tell these dickheads in the embassy to just give me simple sentences. I mean, I've said this before. And tell that bloody interpreter. This f***ing language. He just complicates it so much, you know? Tell them to cancel this meeting at 6 o'clock, will you? I don't have the patience to do it.
Ever the diplomat. And it wasn't just the Sydney Morning Herald. The ABC also tried to make the story about Sky reporting on Rudd, although Paul Barry was actually much more balanced than Shields.
Pressure mounting on Kevin Rudd to move aside from his US ambassador position.
Kevin Rudd is facing mounting pressure to resign this morning.
Hi, I'm Paul Barry, and Kevin from Queensland may soon be coming home, or so we're told.
Australia's ambassador to the US, Kevin Rudd, is facing calls to resign after he was recorded calling Donald Trump a village idiot.
And who is leading the chorus? Cue the usual suspects who've uncovered some ancient abuse.
Freshly unearthed footage of Kevin Rudd calling Donald Trump a village idiot.
The village idiot.
A village idiot.
And there's no doubt he said it back in 2021 when Trump had been kicked out of the White House.
James, let's bring you in. The crime is telling people what happened.
Yeah, how dare you? Yeah. The thing with crackpot conspiracy theories like this is they always fall down because you fail to establish a motive. Now, if News Corp really is just trying to do, like, we're trying to get Kevin Rudd fired for no reason other than we don't like him, like, what do we gain from that? He would just come back to Australia more inspired than ever to have a royal commission against News Corp. We do not win. We are reporting this because the ambassador to our most important ally has a history of insulting the very thin-skinned president-elect. This is not good for our economic interests, and it's not good for our defence interests. What we're going to have, I mean, there's that video going around from back on Nigel Farage's interview with Donald Trump where he brings up Kevin Rudd. And I strongly got the sense that Donald Trump had never heard of Kevin Rudd in his life and had forgotten the name the second the interview had ended and does not know who he is right now. But the idea is that eventually Donald Trump is going to go to an event and it's going to be told, hey, you're going to get introduced by Kevin Rudd. This is the Australian ambassador, but don't be nice to him. He's been really mean to you. And it's not because, I mean, I don't want to take away from the great work that Sky News has been doing, but it's not like...
it's a secret.
It's not a secret. He said it on Q&A. Like, that's one of our biggest shows at the time. Donald Trump is going to hear that the ambassador is going to be mean and he's going to be in a funk and he's probably not going to want to talk to him.
I agree. And it won't be a problem until, and this, Bevan Shields in his editorial criticising us, he says, well, Trump has bigger things to worry about. That's true until he doesn't, until there is a diplomatic incident and Kevin Rudd has to remain point. And then all of a sudden he's leverage. And he's leverage in a debate around, well, this person is radical, called me a traitor, called me a village idiot. That becomes part of the conversation then, and that makes us vulnerable.
I won't speed up the supply of a submarine, a nuclear-powered submarine, because I don't like this man. That could happen, I suppose. I mean, it seems to me when I look at this criticism, one of the first things I learnt as a cadet journalist, which you'll be surprised to learn was a few years ago, was news judgment. Is this story newsworthy? Is this really interesting? Is this something people want to know and need to know? And the pretense here is, no, nothing to see here. Don't look. No, of course it's a news story. Of course it's newsworthy. It's good journalistic judgment. And the way that editorial, the Sydney Morning Herald editorial was worded, actually gives the game away. Fairly early in the editorial, he says, Kevin Rudd, who was trained as a diplomat, and then, right, but he doesn't use diplomatic language. And the other comment in the headline was, Kevin Rudd told the truth. That's not what diplomats do, right?
That's a good point.
Diplomats are meant to be diplomatic. They say nice things even about difficult people or about difficult situations. That's diplomacy. He wasn't put there to be Kevin Rudd.
And this suggestion from Albanese that he is the best, you keep hearing this phrase, the best person. He's not the best person, clearly. Surely he can't possibly be the best person to do it.
They keep saying also, and look at people like J.D. Vance and Elon Musk, who were once very rude about Trump, but they withdrew their remarks, pardon me, and they apologised. Now,
yeah, he deleted a tweet in the middle of the night, and he wasn't apologetic.
Only after the figures were in and we knew Trump was going to be the president. He wasn't even clever enough to delete the tweets beforehand, and he didn't know what diplomatic language was.
It's a good point, a good diplomat.
I have a challenge here, which is, you raised an interesting point with J.D. Vance and Elon Musk changing their tune on Trump. Perhaps Kevin Rudd should come out and say, you know what, Donald Trump, I got to hand it to him. What a politician. Like, maybe you should be really, really nice to Donald Trump on camera anytime.
That's right. Give a speech at the Australia-US business lunch or something of that sort in which he heaps praise upon Trump and makes it clear he's backtracked from the... Now, he can repair the damage. He can stay there, but he's got damage. It's really there.
But should the ambassador be the story? I think it's an optics thing, and as soon as there is a question mark, that becomes a problem.